This is Blue and White Breakdown on your home for sports in Happy Valley, State College's ESPN Radio 103.7 and 1450. He's Matt Bordner, and I'm Zach Sako. And let's go over to the phones now. On the line today, we have Penn State softball head coach Clarisa Crowell joining us. Coach, thanks so much for your time. We really appreciate it, fresh off an incredible season.
Well, I appreciate you all having me and excited to talk about the great year that our program had.
An appearance in the Big Ten tournament, a win in the Big Ten tournament, knocked out by the higher seed Nebraska. But we're going to focus on a lot of the positives, and I'm sure there were positives that came out of that game itself. But Matt, I will let you field the first question because the building blocks for the softball team, it was much bigger than just getting that shot in the Big Ten tournament. It started last offseason.
Yeah, I just find it so amazing that you look at the record from last year and you completely flip that around, turn it on its head with 32 wins and 22 losses, the largest increase in winning percentage actually in the country this year. I'm not sure if I'm sure you were aware of that, but what did it take to have such a turnaround this year for your program?
Yeah, I have to give a lot of credit to our student athletes first and foremost, and to our coaching staff. And obviously last year was a tough year for a lot of different reasons. But I really just think that our team, honestly, they just gelled well this year. And this year was different. Last year was our staff's first year. We came in during COVID, which was challenging in itself. And I think this year we were very intentional about building relationships with our student athletes and developing a positive camaraderie and a positive culture within the program. And I think we were able to do it. And I definitely think that it started there. This year, our student athletes knew the expectations. They knew the standards of the program. And I truly do feel that they were fully bought in. And, when they came back, we came back from summer, we had talked about obviously the previous year, but the focus was, what are we going to do this year? And they set goals for themselves and for the program. And fortunately, we actually exceeded the expectations that they set for themselves. And I think they worked really, really hard this year, not only on the field, but I think they worked really hard on just developing just a positive culture within our program. And I commend them for that because I do think that was a big part of it. And I tell you, when we got into season, I really attribute a lot of our success to their 1-0 mentality. And we definitely stole that one from Coach Franklin and his squad. But our kids, they went into every game believing in themselves and knowing that we could win. And that was it, and regardless of whether we won or whether we lost, they learn from things, and they really, truly continue to grow and get better throughout the course of the season. And so, again, a lot of credit to our student athletes and my coaching staff. I think did a really good job of getting them prepared for the competitive schedule that we played, both obviously in conference and out of conference, but overall a very good year for our program, and I'm excited about the future.
Yeah, well, I have to ask that you said exceeded expectations. What were sort of your team's goals this year and how they were able to exceed them? And even right. So you look at 2021, and obviously it wasn't the way anybody on a team would want a season like that. But how much the players returning and had that bad taste in their mouth, how much did that motivate them this year as well?
Oh, I think that was definitely a big part in it. And obviously when you set goals, right, you base it off of previous years, previous performance, and you have to be realistic with the goals that you set. And they came in saying, hey, we're going to make it to the postseason, which is we're going to get to the Big Ten tournament. We want to be 500. And another one was from a fielding standpoint, they wanted to be at 960, and for me, I'm a defensive-minded coach, yep. And I'm a firm believer, I say it all the time, that pitching and defense is what wins championships. And, so that was their goal. And then obviously we were 500, we made it to the Big Ten tournament, and we were well over 500 at that. And we were really close to getting into the NCAA tournament this year. You flip the script on a couple of games, 4 or 5 games, and we're getting into the tournament. So obviously that was huge for our program. Our program has not been there in several years, and but from a defensive standpoint, we ended up finishing second in the Big Ten with defense. And So to say our kids exceeded our expectations is I honestly think it's an understatement. And I think what they did this year was, they believed in themselves, and now where we're heading next year, it's going to be a lot of fun because we were just on the verge of getting into the tournament. Our RPI was the highest that it's been since 2011. We had a 30 win season, which we haven't done that in a while. And so there was just a lot of great things and a lot of positive momentum going into next year. And I know that they're excited about it. And I tell you, I'm excited about it as well. We have majority of the team coming back. We've got 3 of our seniors coming back with Bailey Parshall, Kylie Lingenfelter, and Lilia Krott-Hamill. And the sky's the limit for our program right now.
Coach C, Clarisa Crowell of Penn State softball, joins us here on Blue and White Breakdown. He's Matt Bortner. I'm Zach Sako. Coach, you started to mention a few of the names, Parshall, Lindmark, Krott-Hamill. They earned all Big Ten honors. There were players that stepped up throughout the season. And for example, Lexi Black with the walk-off hit in one of the biggest games of the season. What individually, and I know I named specifically just those few, but feel free to, I know you could go up and down the roster and say, hey, this is what they did well in practice on the field when we needed it most, but individually, what were some of those players able to do to help fuel this 30-plus win season?
Well, you got to start with Bailey Parshall. Bailey was our ace. She had a phenomenal year. She was first team, all Big Ten, all region player. I mean, she was just fantastic for us, and we don't get the wins that we get without Bailey on the mound for us. So Bailey had a great year. Cassie Lindmark came in this year and was just fantastic. She was a transfer that came to us from Kentucky, led our team in nearly every offensive category, and her and Allie Curlin were the catalysts of our offense. Basically where those guys went, our offense went, but Allie Curlin also had a great year for us and really stepped it up, came up in big moments, and Lilia is our center fielder, and I tell you, there's some games we don't win if she's not in center field. I mean, in my opinion, I've said it, and I'm very confident in saying it. She is the best outfielder in our conference, and she was just remarkable out there this year. And what I thought our team did a really good job of this year is we came up in big moments, whether it was Lexi, Lexi came up in the clutch opportunity several times this year, or Maggie Finnegan was somebody else, and I'm thinking about Mel Coombs hitting that walk-off home run against a very good Maryland team this year. So I thought our kids did a really good job of when they had those big moments, they stepped up, and we won a lot of games because of that as well.
I got to ask specifically about Bailey because this year when we're nominating our player of the week on our show, multiple times Bailey comes up there. Obviously, the perfect game against FIU on February 18th is that's the accomplishment of all accomplishments for a single pitcher. But what do you sort of remember from that outing? And also, I have to imagine just the mentality of your team is totally different when she steps out on the mound to start the game, and that it just gives your team confidence that you can win any game.
Yeah, for sure. And I think any team's going to say that about their ace. There's just something about your ace being out on the mound, and she gives the rest of our team confidence. And I tell you, Bailey, I've only been with Bailey now for 2 years. Obviously, last year was my first year, and I said it after that FIU game, and I've been saying it all year long. I think a big reason for her success is just her growth as a pitcher, her maturity as a pitcher, but just her mental toughness. I thought Bailey did a great job this year of just being resilient. Bailey, by nature, is a perfectionist. She's a type A type of kid, and I think early on in her career, she wanted the strikeout. She wanted to be perfect, but I think this year she really understood that that's not what pitching is. And in order for her to be an elite pitcher, which I do think Bailey was this year, she was okay with one pitch outs. She was okay if she didn't get the strikeouts. And I just think her toughness and her grittiness as a competitor really just excelled her game. and turned her into an elite pitcher. And I can assure you that most people in the country don't want to face Bailey Parshall. So,
Yeah.
but all the credit to Bailey. Not only did she grow from a maturity standpoint and just her mentality, but she is somebody who puts everything that she has, and she's just got a great work ethic, and she works really, really hard at her craft, and she's also a student of the game. There's not going to be anybody else you're going to find out there that's going to watch as much film as Bailey watches. So, again, just a lot of credit to her, because obviously she had a fantastic year this year.
Head coach of Penn State softball, Clarisa Crowell, is on the line with us here on Blue and White Breakdown. The Big Ten tournament is obviously a huge accomplishment, beating Indiana and then getting knocked out by Nebraska. Was there a little bit of newness to this, since the program has not been in a postseason setting, like you said, in a little bit of a while? Do you think that this experience was humbling and ready, and it's going to help to prepare the team for the next time around and a season down the road with the players that will continue to be up and coming, because a lot of these players, they are back, but eventually they're going to have to move on. So do you think this was a good taste of the postseason to get them ready and to know what to expect come hopefully 1 year from now?
Oh, absolutely. There's nothing like tournament time. And, our student athletes, it's been a while since we've been there. And for them to have that experience at the tournament, I think was huge for us. And for us next year, we're not just thinking Big Ten tournament. We're definitely thinking well beyond that into NCAA regionals. And, I believe in this team and believe that we've got the athletes to get us there. And you know what? Our kids are confident. They believe in themselves. And that could, that's huge for any team. So I think our kids, and I think they handled it well. I thought they were composed, and I think that just kind of goes with how they've played all year. They never made moments too big. I do think at the start they were a little excited to be there, but once they settled in, I obviously we came up a little bit short, but Nebraska was a great team. I mean, they ended up winning. Yeah. They won the tournament, and they finished second in the Big Ten. So that was a team that they were pretty hot, and we just unfortunately just couldn't get it done. But a lot of great things that came out of that tournament, the experience, and just out of this entire year.
Yeah, and for those listening at home as well, the Big Ten this year did get 7 teams into the NCAA tournament, so just as impressive for the turnaround that Penn State was able to make this season. And sort of taking off of that success, you have the players coming back, like you mentioned, Bailey Parshall, to lead this team, but you also have to build upon for the future, even years into after this upcoming season. What sort of have, without getting into specifics, but what sort of have the recruits responded to the turnaround from your team?
Oh, that's been huge. Any time, and especially as quick as our student athletes were able to do it. I'm not sure many people were expecting us to turn this thing around in a year. But again, our kids just believed that they could do it, and we did it. But yeah, it's been nothing but, from a recruiting standpoint, a lot of positive feedback. Just especially after the tournament. The tournament. I mean, we've had a lot of people kind of contacting us now. So yeah, from a recruiting standpoint, it's been fantastic.
Has it been a little bit, because Penn State baseball and softball have been a little bit of an afterthought in Happy Valley, I think, for a little bit now. So is there a sense of rewarding that, hey, we can turn Penn State into a softball school. Hey, we can get Penn State to, baseball's having an incredible season as well, to get the respect back for some of Penn State's spring sports? Is there anything rewarding and fulfilling in that regard?
Absolutely, and that's why I came here. I came here with the belief that we were going to turn this thing around, because I just saw Penn State as a great opportunity, and I'm here to put it on the national map. I mean, it's as simple as that. And so yes, absolutely. And I tell you, one of the best things about this year has just been the sense of pride that so many people have had in our program, and the support that our student athletes in our program have received this year has been truly amazing. So to see people, starting to follow us more, not just within our own fan base, but from a regional and a national standpoint, that's what we're here to do. So, it's been a lot of fun for sure.
Last question, Coach C, that I have for you here on behalf of Blue and White Breakdown. What do you like the most about Penn State? I mean, obviously, you just mentioned the support there and what you enjoy about being within the softball program. But what else can you add on top of it that makes such a great experience in Happy Valley for you as a head coach?
Right. It's the people. My first year here, I didn't really get a chance to meet very many people because of COVID. But this past year, just having the opportunity to meet other coaches, to meet people in the department. And I think with any experience, the people are going to be what makes or break your experience. So the people here at Penn State have been awesome. And just the support that we receive from so many people, from our parents to our boosters, to our donors, to our alumni, have been absolutely fantastic. The people, the Penn State family, it has been just great for our program, for our student athletes, and for our entire staff.
Ladies and gentlemen, Penn State softball head coach Clarisa Crowell joining us right here on Blue and White Breakdown. We hope we can catch up again sometime soon to talk about the progress of the program, the continued progress and success of it. Thank you, Coach.
Thank you guys so much. I appreciate you having me, and we are